Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade and this is my wrap up for October. I did not read as much as I would have liked to. I have not had a lot of time to read because I am in college and it's stressful. But I did get a little bit of reading done, and I thought I'd share that with you guys. The first book that I finished actually is such an amazing book. I've been wanting to read it for like a year or since it came out. I don't know when it came out, but I finally did. And that's Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan. I'm in love with this book. This is the first book I've actually tabbed, if that tells you anything. I wanted to start tabbing after I started reading Nevernight, which I finished, I think, right before October started, which is one of the best books ever. But this book is so good. It's about a girl who lives in, this is like an Asian inspired world. It's like specifically Asian because it's all kinds of different cultures. The author did that on purpose to like incorporate all different sorts of Asian cultures into one book because they were all taken over basically by like one warlord. And the kind of like, what word am I looking for? Well, this world has three distinct castes. There's the paper caste, the steel caste, and the moon caste. And the moon caste is the highest caste, and they are called the moon caste because they are human-animal hybrids that are more animal than human. The steel caste is hybrids, but they're more human than animal, and then the paper class is just humans, and they're the weakest. That's why they're called the paper, and the moon's the strongest. And the whole world is run by the moon caste, and the paper caste aren't treated as slaves necessarily, but they can just be killed and like everything. They're like the most oppressed, and the main character is a paper caste. And each year the emperor has 7 paper girls who come to his court to be his concubines to show his mercy and respect for the paper caste. Yeah. So the main character ends up being chosen as the 8th paper girl, which is interesting. And she has to go to serve the king. So, you know, it's what I love about this book. This book is so good. I'm kind of bad at describing it because I don't want to give away the book, but I want to. What really caught me is I always read the inside because I think it's great. It says each year 8 beautiful girls are chosen as paper girls to serve the king. Oh, sorry, 8, not 9, or not 7. The highest honor they could hope for and the most demeaning. This year there's a 9th, and instead of paper, she's made of fire. So like, you just know that it's gonna be a good book, and it is. And I love this book, and I love how I finished it right when the second one's being released, so I get to actually continue with it. And guys, I actually kind of found an angle where I can almost show my bookshelf because the light's coming from here, so like that's cool. The next book I finished was For School, and that's The Burning of Bridget Clary by Angela Brooke. This is a book based on real events that just tells what happened about a girl in Ireland who was burned to death by her family and husband for being a changeling. And it tells you the events that led up to this and kind of the political circumstances going around the time. So it's interesting if you're into history, but it's also like the first chapter is the most confusing thing I've ever read, and then it gets more understandable. But it is really cool because it talks a lot about how like Irish people believed in fairies but didn't, but they were like a part of everything they did, and it's just really cool. I did like that part, and it was a good book. Just not something I'd pick up for myself, but I have to finish writing a paper on that sometime eventually. The next book I read this month is Serpent and Dove. As an audiobook I read it, and it's a very good book. I'm sure you've heard about it. Everyone on BookTube has been talking about it. It's about a girl who ends up marrying a witch hunter, and she has to keep hidden who she is and everything that's going on. And it's a very good book. That's why everyone likes it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was like a fun read, and it was really intriguing. It took an unexpected turn at the end, I have to say. But anyone who's into like witch books definitely should read it. It's really good. That's about the best synopsis I can make right now because I don't want to give anything away and I can't remember the synopsis of the book. The next book I read was The Royals. It's the American Royals. I'll have a picture of it here so you guys will be able to see it. But basically, it's a book that is what it would be like if the US had a monarchy. So it's a really cool concept, and it's a romance novel, so it has a bunch of romances. But I wish that when I went into it, I would have known that it was not a single book, that it's going to be at least a series or a duology, I don't know, but there's going to be more books. So there was no wrap up to any of the romances. It all ends horribly for every person. And I'm like, wow, this is awful. I'm angry. That's about all I have to say. There's a bunch of main characters. There is the eldest daughter who is going to be queen, and she's always had to live her life being really perfect. And you realize that she doesn't really always want to, even though everyone thinks she does, because she's so good at acting like the perfect next in line. And then there's the two younger siblings that are twins. There's a girl who has always like been the opposite of her sister and has always rebelled, and her brother who's like always rebelled with her, but because he's a boy, people are more okay with it. And then there's the girl's Sam. It's her best friend, and they've been best friends forever, but she's just a normal girl, and she's going to college, and she's always kept her friendship and like the fact that she's really close to the royal family a secret until some sort of romance thing gets out. So it's a bunch of different romances that everyone's involved in, that no one gets to be with who they want to be with because they're in the royal family, is basically how it goes. So, you know, it was really, really good, and I did enjoy it. It just made me angry that it's not a single book, and I was like, wow, I was expecting some wrap up, and then you threw this at me. I'm angry. So yeah, I'd probably give it I'd say a 4 out of 5 stars, because I do think it's written really well and it is really interesting. It just made me mad. The next book I haven't finished, but I'm reading it for my history class as well. And that's The Unruly Queen, The Life of Queen Caroline by Flora Fraser. This book is about Queen Caroline. She married King George IV, who was kind of like a playboy king, and he decides he doesn't really want to be with her because he was actually already married to someone else, but he did it by himself without the king's permission. So they voided the marriage and made him marry his cousin. And so she is sent off basically to live her life on a tour through Europe because he doesn't want to be around her. And it's kind of about their relationship and the downfall and how it led to her death and her trial of adultery. Even though, you know, her husband was cheating on her all the time, but she can't have an affair because that's how society worked. And then the next book I have is also a book that I'm still reading, but I am decently far in, so I thought I'd mention it because I'll probably, well, depending on how much time I have to read and how much I want to read. I hate allergies. That is The 10th Girl by Sarah Faring. I'm in love with this book. It is so good. It's my most anticipated release of this year, which I love that I'm reading it now because my most anticipated release of last year was Girls of Paper and Fire, so that's kind of cool. But this is about a girl whose mother is arrested by the government. It takes place in South America, and her mother's arrested by the government, and she knows that she will eventually be taken away as well. Because the government's dictatorship, and if you speak out against it, you disappear. So she actually ends up becoming an English teacher at this really renowned school that's at the very southern tip of South America. And it's a school that used to be full of prestige. It's where people from all over could kind of escape to whatever was happening in their life. And it was really prestigious and amazing, basically. But 60 years ago, something happened and everyone died from a disease. But the problem is the school is built on Native American land, and they cursed it because they want it back. So that's kind of like how that like comes into it. But there is a mysterious school that she goes to teach at to escape. And this is like a psychological thriller with like supernatural twist, so it's really cool. It's something I've never read before in YA. I'd say this is definitely more adult YA though, just from the age of the characters and things. But let's see, the main character is Mavi, and she goes there to escape her life. And then she finds out that you're not allowed to roam it. There's a bunch of rules. You can't roam at night. And there's rumors of mysterious ghosts and others. And when the students and teachers alike begin to behave as if possessed, the forces haunting this unholy cliff will no longer be ignored, and one of those spirits holds a secret that could unravel Mavi's existence. So, like, and then a haunted Argentinian mansion, a family curse, a twist you'll never see coming. Welcome to Vicario School. Like, you just kind of have to read it. And I'm like 107 pages in, so like I'm decently there, and I'm really loving this book. But that's all I have for you guys. Feel free to leave in the comments down below what you guys are reading, or if any of these sound interesting to you, or if you've read them, what you think. I'd love to know what you think of the American Royals book, because I don't know what I think. But I love you all so very much, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.